Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to discuss this story about a school board meeting in Southern California where a fight broke out. So we had LGBT activists on one side and parents who were against introducing that into the school. On the other side, they basically want to make June Pride Month, which obviously we know June is considered Pride Month. But the difference here is they want it to be recognised in schools. So the whole month, kids will be exposed to, the idea of, sexuality, I guess, the idea of LGBTQ concepts, just like we are in general during the month of June for Pride Month. And a lot of parents object to that, understandably. They don't think it's appropriate. But, there's always both sides, and clearly these sides clashed. Now, a lot of people don't realise that a lot of California is actually conservative. The small towns, around the big cities that are filled with conservatives. So I can imagine that, even in Los Angeles, there are going to be parents who are not happy about this. And clearly things got out of hand. So let's take a look.
Happening last night inside the building you see behind me was a meeting among the school board where they were planning on taking a vote about declaring June official Pride Month for their unified school district. Happening outside the building right here in the parking lot that I'm standing was a growing protest made up of those for and against that vote. And at one point, it all turned violent. In this video, you can see just how violent and chaotic that crowd got. At around 6 p.m. last night, at the height of those clashes, the Glendale police in riot gear threatening to use chemical agents to disperse the crowd, declaring it an unlawful assembly and arresting at least 3 people. At one point, this crowd swelled to reports of about 500 people here in the parking lot of the Glendale Unified School District headquarters. Glendale's police chief confirming to KTLA there was Antifa and Revolutionary Communist members in the crowd yesterday, quote, serving as agitators. Additionally present were pro and anti-LGBTQ plus demonstrators facing off. We understand they've been protesting the board meetings here for the past several weeks now over the district's handling of LGBTQ policies.
They're experimenting on children. Young children are very vulnerable. First of all, at that age, they're targeting them. Children don't have any idea about sex and sexuality.
The point is the erasure of LGBTQ voices. Erasure of voices of LGBTQ people leads to the misconception that all of our lived experiences are homogenous and the same, and it does not allow any space for folks to embrace who they are.
Inside last night's board meeting, the public comment portion regarding Pride Month was cut short because of the fighting happening outside. But most who spoke were in favor of the LGBTQ plus acceptance.
Hold up! Hold up. Parents is a man with a man, and a woman with a woman. Everybody, I'll give you the microphone.
Trans kids. Protect trans kids. Love, not hate. Love, not hate. Love, not hate. Love, not hate.
So I had to edit that a little bit because you're not allowed to show fighting on YouTube, so I wasn't really sure how much to show. That really got out of hand. People are very passionate about this topic on both sides, I guess. For some reason, the LGBTQ side believe it's a matter of protecting trans kids and protecting them from being mistreated and things of that nature. But I don't really see how saying that children shouldn't even be involved in this sort of thing. Children should just be left alone and encouraged to focus on being a kid, encouraged to focus on education, encouraged to focus on learning, not being indoctrinated with ideologies. These are the same people who would strongly object to kids being introduced to the Bible, kids being introduced to Christian concepts. They would strongly object to that because they would say that's the parents' job. That's not your job to indoctrinate my kids with your religion. But when it comes to LGBTQ philosophies, they're allowed to push it onto children. And under the guise of protecting the trans kids, I don't get it. Again, they hide behind shields. This is bigotry. This is some sort of phobia. This is an attack on children. But really, this is an attempt to protect children, to preserve their innocence, rather than trying to understand these concepts when there's a lot of adults who don't understand it. There's a lot of adults who don't understand how gender and sex are so different. There's a lot of adults who don't understand that apparently there's more than two genders. There's a lot of adults who don't understand how somebody could change their gender. There's a lot of adults who don't understand how men can have babies, how the definition of a woman doesn't exist. So you can imagine how difficult it will be for children to grasp these concepts. Let's take a look at the story. At least 3 people were arrested when a brawl broke out Tuesday between pro and anti-LGBTQ plus protesters outside a school board meeting in Southern California, where members were deciding whether to recognize June as Pride Month. Several rowdy demonstrators threw punches just as the Glendale Unified School District in Los Angeles County was due to hold an official vote on the matter. Almost 500 people gathered in the school headquarters parking lot, where those for and against the district resolution began to tussle over the global recognition and celebration of the LGBTQ+ community. Some protesters even dressed in t-shirts that read, "Leave our kids alone," and chanted the names of the 5 school board members. About 50 police officers were deployed to the scene. And you saw there they were trying to defuse the situation. The police officers seem to have done a good job, but things were pretty crazy. Police said most of the protest was peaceful, but that a small group of individuals engaged in behaviour deemed unsafe, and that additional attempts to de-escalate the crowd failed. The LA Times reported. An unlawful assembly was declared as police called in reinforcements and ordered the crowd to disperse. The 3 people who were arrested faced charges including obstructing officers and unlawful use of pepper spray. Now, I wonder if the people who were arrested were on the LGBTQ plus side or were the parents who were against Pride Month. Just curious. For the 5th year in a row, the board later approved the resolution designating June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. The measure also encouraged all schools in the nation's 2nd largest district to incorporate lessons on the LGBTQ plus community into the curriculum and affirmed a commitment to creating a safe, welcoming and inclusive learning environment for all LGBTQ plus students, families and staff members.
The Glendale School District releasing a statement yesterday saying harmful disinformation has been circulating about what is being taught inside the classrooms. The superintendent speaking more about it. Take a listen.
Our primary focus in our school district is to be inclusive. Every student matters, every family member matters. We do follow in a public system state laws and California Department of Education guidelines. And sometimes that may be of concern to some parents. But at the end of the day, my message is let's reach out to one another.
Bringing in curriculum for K-6 on gender ideology, that is what we're against, one parent told KTLA 5. Now that is the issue. That is the issue. Now, some people might be okay with it for high school, but for kindergarten, like, come on, why? Another protester told the outlet that the board meeting was about the school curriculum, saying, "We were talking about children. They are not ready for such choices. It confuses them, and ultimately, these are the things that parents should decide." Exactly. As far as I'm concerned, this is using children to affirm people. This is using children to affirm LGBTQ, ideologies, rather than educating them. Most of the people who addressed the board discussed broader issues on how sex and gender are handled under district policy. I mean, people are concerned that they're going to be teaching children that there are more than 2 genders and things like that. Someone said that the anti-LGBTQ protests were heartbreaking. They keep referring to it as anti-LGBTQ, but I'm sure a lot of people are not anti anything. They just are all for what's appropriate and what is not. Then we have Belissa Cohen, who identified herself as an LGBTQ plus activist, said that she was on the side of the parents who want to keep the focus in schools on academics rather than on sexual orientation. Exactly. Even somebody who's an activist for that community is against it because it's just inappropriate. And again, I keep bringing up the fact that we've got bigger fish to fry within our education system. Kids are not performing well, especially in these inner city areas, in Los Angeles, in New York City. When it comes to writing, reading, arithmetic, kids are failing, unfortunately. They're not at the standard, that they are in other countries. And we're more focused on LGBTQ plus than academics. That's where we're heading in our schools. And this clearly isn't going to help improve that situation. Again, it takes the focus away on what they really should be learning. Doesn't matter whether it's June. And of course, we've got one rep here, Adam Schiff. His district includes Glendale. He reacted to the unrest by tweeting, "These continued acts of violence and hate towards our LGBTQ community, especially towards students, parents and teachers, are horrific. All of our children deserve to both feel safe and to be safe, regardless of who they love or how they identify. We will not go back. We will not apologize for celebrating the strength and the diversity of our LGBTQ community." Absolutely ridiculous. This isn't about attacking anybody. This isn't about, ostracizing anybody, excluding anybody. This is about what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate for children. Very simple. But somehow they become brain dead when it comes to acknowledging that there are some concepts that children do not need to be exposed to. For some reason, that doesn't exist when it comes to LGBTQ. If somebody was going to give Bibles to children, they would certainly say that is inappropriate. This is for the parents to decide. But it's okay to talk about children as if they're adults within the LGBTQ community, no matter who they love, how they identify. We shouldn't be talking about children in that way. To make the whole month of June Pride Month where we're teaching children about these concepts, when we should be teaching them writing, reading, arithmetic. We're setting the foundation of these skills. But clearly, these school districts have an agenda to set a whole new different kind of foundation. Homeschooling is looking more and more attractive as time passes. It really is. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video, God willing.